And there we have it. 2 games, for me, finished in the same week. That worked out surprisingly well. I don't think they'll actually last the same amount, because this is 2.5 hours of footage. The other one was only an hour and a half of footage, but those might even out with how much I cut out of this game. That said, really, really do not recommend buying this. If you find it on sale and you want to pick it up and play through the story yourself, you can. I really don't see why you would. If you watched all of this, you've got the story here. If you didn't watch all of this, you're not listening to me now, and so you don't have to worry about it. It's an interesting, confusing story that also contradicts a lot of what I've seen of the first game, and leaves a whole mess of plot holes. But at the same time, the story is... yeah, it's interesting, the way it kind of works. The thematic elements of it, the crosses between, like, post-industrial Britain of some sort, I imagine, and the Wonderland, and the way it flashes between them, or the transitions, the way they kind of meld together sometimes. Very cool looking. The worlds mostly look fairly interesting. It's just, they didn't do anything with them. It's a damn shame. Like, every area had great ideas. The basic Wonderland, I mean, you're not going to deviate too far from the mushrooms and the snails and the trees and things like that. But the whole mechanized world with the molten metal everywhere and everything's mechanized and all the, like, half-butchered animals turned into machines. And then the Asian-inspired area and the dollhouse and the doll assembly place. Just, they all look really nice. They're just boring as all hell to move through. The enemies aren't fun to fight after, like, the first 2 or 3 encounters, if even that much. The platforming isn't fun, and it's buggy as hell. The cutscenes don't usually work. I mean, for how new this game is, they should look much better than they do. But whatever, I'd be willing to look over, you know, kind of ugly cutscenes, blurry textures, that sort of thing, if they didn't glitch out in things. Like, in the last cutscene, just a few seconds ago, well, minutes ago now, the talking continued for a good 30 seconds beyond where the video kind of cut out, half-faded. Nothing ever seemed to fade all the way. It's just... yeah. Decent ideas, decent theming, horrible gameplay, very hole-ridden plot. So, on the whole, kind of disappointing. But, you know, if they made a new one, if they made another game, or if American McGee just went through and made that Wizard of Oz style, basically the same game, but Wizard of Oz, I'd play it. It seems interesting. I'd watch reviews first and probably delay buying it if it ended up looking a lot like this one, but I'd look into it. It's interesting. That said, I'm noticing a lot of Asian names on here. I'm not talking about the Asian characters, obviously, but the Zhao Zhu, Ji Feng, Shen Bin. I'm kind of interested in where this was developed, because it's ported by Spicy Horse, which I believe is an American company, but I don't know for sure. But it was not originally developed by Spicy Horse, and I don't know who developed it. EA obviously owns the license because their logo's on the front of it. EA also owns, is it Ion Storm that made these games? American McGee originally worked for John Romero when he had his split-off project from id, which I believe was Ion Storm. Then that split off into several other things, IDOS being one of the developers that was then later purchased by Square Enix. But I don't know if Ion Storm as a whole still exists. There was another development company that kind of fissioned off from it, and I think that's where American McGee went. Not sure, though. But yeah, the whole history of that whole deal is really interesting. I think I mentioned it before, but if you ever see the book Masters of Doom, really awesome. if you're interested at all in game development, even not like personally getting involved, but if you're interested in the history of it and how it goes down and the way certain companies work and just the history of a big developer and someone who is huge in gaming, awesome book. Totally go read that. The way it kind of ties in with gaming history. If you grew up with it, like if you were born early 90s-ish, you'll have been around for Doom and then everything that followed afterwards, and reading the history as it progresses through, and like, oh, here's where Half-Life was released, and here's where Unreal was made, and here's where, Epic Games really took off. That kind of stuff, seeing the way it intermingles with just the history of John Romero and John Carmack, is really cool. I know I've completely gotten off topic of Alice, but normally I leave these things so blank that it's, I feel bad. But, the game is over. I can move on to 2 new interesting games in a while. I've actually got another vacation coming up, but this should be more than enough to keep me set on a path. And I can do, when I get back from the vacation, if I still have videos left, I can focus all of my efforts on making something that is not just a Let's Play, and I'll probably be lazy again and not get it done anytime soon, but I will keep working. The reason I haven't gone full steam ahead is that I don't want to make a video and then have it be good and, draw in a few people and then not make another one ever. Like I did with the teaser video, where I released it and go, okay, I'm ready, gung-ho, let's do this. And then nothing else was done. Oh, hey, Tim Schafer supported this game. Cool. Lewis Carroll. Yeah, and then just not follow it up with anything for forever. So, I'm trying to stockpile resources and music and images and ideas, and I'll get the voice acting stuff done, not voice acting, but the voiceover stuff done, and I'm trying to just compile this all, and as time goes on, I record half of something. I did a huge chunk of League of Legends stuff, did a huge thing for, had this retrospective video for the Heroes of Might and Magic series, something that I talked about doing in the old sneak peek at Hero 6 when that was still in beta. I talked about how I had actually written an opening that was the history of the Heroes series up until that point. I actually wrote out a script for all of that and started recording it. And then set it aside. I didn't finish it. And, did a little bit of work here and there, made a few slides and things. And then changed my mind on how I was going to make the style of the show. And that kind of broke what I had there. And then, so I made new plans. I was going to do things again. And then I changed my mind again. It's a combination of what can I actually do, what looks, sounds, feels good, and what is something I can do on a schedule. Maybe not an actual schedule. I've already said it's not going to be very, not a very on-time show, but I don't want to go more than, say, like 2 months without a video like that. I could go to 2 months, but I wouldn't want to go, okay, here's a video, and half a year later, oh yeah, here's another one. Like, I see people like JonTron and Ego Raptor and Kid Icarus make their videos really spaced out. They obviously don't have much of a release schedule. Actually, I think Kid Icarus actually does. I think he's every 2 weeks. But they don't have much of a stringent release schedule. They just kind of make their videos, and they release them when they're good enough. Peanut Butter Gamer is another example, though I think he may sort of be on a 2 week, every 2 weeks thing-ish too. I appreciate the effort that goes into it, and I think that's what makes me hesitant to actually start going through with anything. I'll start work, I'll start production, I'll start editing, and then go, but I only have one. Do I really want to release this when I only have one? And yeah, it's hard. Because I've made that mistake with Let's Plays. I've gone, okay, I'll record for 15 minutes, boom, done, edit it up, chop out 2 things, censor some things, boom, done, video's over. And then I get lazy, I get distracted, there's a meal, there's an internet outage, something happens, I don't record the next day I want to do a video, and suddenly, boom, I've missed a quote-unquote deadline. And that has a very bad, not connotation, that leaves a bad term for, setting a bad precedent. There we go. I don't want to set a precedent for, I missed one, well, whatever, they'll survive, they'll be okay, I'll just apologize in the next video and it'll all be forgiven. I don't want to make that a thing. Like, already it's started. I set my schedule 2 videos, Monday, Tuesday, a space in the middle for if I do something special, 2 videos, Thursday, Friday of a different game. That was my schedule, and I stuck with it for 3 cycles, maybe? And then vacation messed it up. That one's acceptable. But then immediately afterwards, screwed things up. Boom, didn't have a video for that one Tuesday. Yeah. Which by now is probably weeks and weeks ago. But yeah, one of the Bulletstorm periods, when we were still doing those videos, recording these so far in advance, I do in such huge chunks that it gets kind of tough. But recording the, because I didn't get around to recording by that Tuesday, even when I went and recorded more Bulletstorm, which actually ended up being the following Monday, so it shows you how good my work ethic is, even doing that, or skipping that Tuesday, I'm not going to upload the video on Wednesday, just go, this makes up for it. I want to stick to my plan, because if I don't stick to my plan, things fall apart. They're already falling apart, but they fall apart more. And what day is it today? Technically it's Thursday, it's 3 a.m. now, almost 4 a.m. So, not this video, but the first video in this session of videos is going to be going up later today, after I sleep and wake up and go do other things. It's going to be released today. I don't want to have to do that, but I get into this very bad feeling of, I guess, comfort of, oh, I've got like 8 weeks of videos. I don't have to record for forever. Well, if I think, oh, I don't have to record, I then set aside other recording, other writing, other planning, other, pre-production. So then nothing gets done. And then nothing else gets done. And then I don't even do, like, basic art practice on the side. And before you know it, the video buffer's gone. And then what? Then you have to record more video buffer, and the cycle repeats, because if I record a little bit of video buffer, or if I record videos for like 2 days, then the next week comes around and I'm recording again. If I record videos like this, where I have 2.5 hours, probably going to be somewhere like 2:45 by the time I'm done with the credits here, it's going to be, like 5 weeks before I catch back up, and suddenly need more videos again. And in that time, will I have made more videos? I might have kicked myself in the butt and made something, but really, how much will I manage to make? If I were actually diligent and made videos constantly, I could have a massive backlog. But at the same time, do I want a massive backlog? I mean, well, obviously you want some, but at what point do you go so far into the future that your topical jokes are months out of date, And I watch stuff like the Game Grumps. I don't know how often they record, but you can kind of tell where they start and end sessions, and certain games on the same day, and transitioning between games on the same day and stuff. And it sounds, from the sound of it, they record fairly often, and they do it in like 5 video chunks. The only reason they manage to say anything that is even slightly relevant on the cultural scene is they upload freaking daily. There is always a Game Grumps video, usually 1 per game per day. They crank that shit out, and it's great. I love their content because it's just 2 guys hanging out, having a great time. Now it's Danny and Aaron rather than John and Aaron, but it's just 2 guys, really good friends, playing a game and laughing about whatever the hell they want, and that's great. The fact that I watch it cuts into the time I have to make other videos, but there can't be so many channels that release videos that frequently. I think the Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday breaks I have in my schedule are still pretty short for people who just casually watch YouTube videos. People like me, I went on vacation for a week, came back and had a buffer of like 150 videos that I had missed, that I wanted to watch. And I've caught up now, mostly by skipping ahead, watching a lot of short ones, cutting them out, and then kind of skimming through things like there was a Blood Bowl leak from the TGS, things like that. I've caught up now, but not everyone wastes as much time as I do on YouTube. I mean, if more people wasted as much time as I do on YouTube, I think society would fall apart, so that's for the best. But I don't feel right making so many videos when there are other people who make so many videos, and as far as I am concerned, do a better job. I'm very hard on myself, but not in the right ways. And so not only am I digging into those producers' time, I'm digging into the audience's time. If they also watch that, they either don't have time for both or have time for nothing else. And that just doesn't sit right with me. I can't bring myself to personally eat up so much of a person's time. So it was even hard for me to release the not recent now, by the time this video comes out, but recent when I'm recording this, Ender Dragon fight with Rachel and Feed the Beast, because I talked with a couple friends before I actually finished editing it and uploading it, and they're like, "Oh, you're fighting the Ender Dragon. I'm looking forward to a lot of, incompetent death. You guys have been kind of hamming it up with how horrible you are." And none of that is staged, by the way. We're just horrible at the game. I felt really bad because I'm like, oh, well, we didn't die at all. We kind of just took forever killing the damn thing. I chopped like 20 minutes of dragon fighting down to 10, and then we just riffed on the ending synopsis, or not synopsis, but I was going to say soliloquy, but that's not right either. The ending of Minecraft for the rest of the time, which people might find that funny. Rachel and I found it hilarious doing it, and she actually said she went back and watched it later and just laughed her ass out at how stupid it was. And just how she didn't even realize how stupid it was when she was reading it. It was just going back and listening to it again, like, oh my god, it said this? That kind of stuff, I thought it was funny. The dragon fight, I kind of wish I'd been able to chop it down more, but I get a little iffy about where I want to chop through pieces, otherwise you get basically a montage. But it ended up still being a half-hour long video or something like that. Who wants to sit down and watch a half-an-hour video sometimes? There's great ones. You watch the Rooster Teeth Let's Plays when they play like Grand Theft Auto or something. Those are really funny, if you like that kind of humor. But how many of those can you realistically watch in any given time? So, looping back to that same argument again. So, I really don't know where I'm going. This whole conversation has meandered quite a bit. And the credits are still going. Do these loop? I don't think so. I'm into Federico Rodriguez. They're going through all the different EA companies. Yeah. What is it now? EA Games Lab. Oh, so the EA Game Lab is a separate thing. Oh, jeez. So yeah, it's time to move on to new games. And hopefully, new styles, new formulas. Planning, by the time I'm recording this, it might already be a thing. Planning on having Rachel possibly play through some games. I don't know if she'll do it alone or if she'll want me to hang around and talk with her. Thinking of having her play Bastion. I'd say, oh, tell me what you think of this idea, but it's probably either already happened or already fallen through by this point. I was going to have her play Bastion because I know the ending. I unfortunately got spoiled by something. I think it was the guy, Chris, is it Chris Hardwick? No, that's somebody different. From Errant Signal, there we go, watched his video on something else, and he happened to talk about the ending of Bastion, and I didn't care too much. It's a really old game. You can't avoid spoilers forever. But now that I know, there's no surprise. A bit like this game. I already knew the ending. There's no surprise. I'm kind of sad that I learned it before I finished playing this game. But if I send Rachel through, we get me knowing the story and being able to possibly explain some things, as well as knowing some of the mechanics. And we get Rachel experiencing it for the first time. And then also during blank sections where in this game it was, basically at this point it's going to be like an hour and 15 minutes of pointless meandering, wandering, and fighting. We'd have Rachel and I being able to have banter back and forth. And what isn't banter back and forth? gets cut. But there's less of that than when it's me alone with nothing to talk about, just jumping. And now, you may be thinking now, what do you mean nothing to talk about? You've obviously been talking for, like, 20 minutes now. It's hard to talk like this and play a game at the same time. For me. There are people who do it just fine. I was going to use Scene Anders as an example, but actually most of his stuff where he talks normally is post-commentary. But there are people who do it just fine. X, whose name is very hard to just throw out as a reference because it's just a letter, but X does it fairly well with Minecraft, gets himself off track sometimes, but he's great at just talking and playing and kind of going. I've never been able to really do that. So, I have a lot of stuff I could say. I've sat down in front of cameras before and talked for like 50 minutes before realizing I was still talking. Like I am doing now, pretty much. But it's hard to do that while playing with any degree of skill. You gotta respect people who can both have an interesting conversation, not just inane chatter, and still play a game. You notice those people like the Game Grumps, they'll go, hang on, you just talk to the camera, I'm gonna focus now. The people who can, well, the fact that they were doing as well as they were before they said, hang on, I have to focus, is admirable. Okay, this is really going on for a while now. This can't possibly be looping, can it? I'm all for giving everyone their dues and like showing all the credits so that you know, see who made the game. I know no one really reads it, but I feel like, they deserve the credit, at least. Even if no one reads it, it's there. It is possible to be seen and to be read. You may even know someone who worked on the game and you can, sift through and go, oh yeah, there he is, there's Liu Yi, or Gu Wei. Considering it's China, you probably don't know them, but, it's going very long. This is an EA. This is like Assassin's Creed 1 level of absurd credits. Jin Zin. That would actually be a fun name to have. Well, listen, I'm going to leave this going. If you don't care about the credits, feel free to, do whatever you want. Shut the video down now if you want. Otherwise, if you're interested in the credits, you can just, leave it rolling. There's no music. I apologize for that. That's kind of a bad on the part of the developers of this game. You have super long credits and nothing in the background. It's kind of a, not a faux pas, but not a good idea. Gets people bored of your credits. Oh hey, I'm invited to join a Steam group. Thanks a lot, Gamers Grove. We'll probably click ignore, but I appreciate the invitation. Yeah. So learn things if you're going to make a game. Make your credits like BioShock Infinite, with good music, and then a behind-the-scenes clip at the end. That was really cool. Or at least like Borderlands, where it's just good music. Don't make your credits like this. A boring, space-inefficient text crawl with nothing in the background. If this scrolled vertically and fit more names side to side, it would probably be over by now. Maybe. Unless it's just really, really damn long. Wow. I may cut the credits out into their own video. If this is stretching into like the 50-minute territory combined with the end of the game, I may have to make the credits their own video, which is stupid. But basically it will become like a podcast. it will be like one of the Uber update videos, but the credits for this game. Wow. It just keeps on going. Okay, seriously, the game ended 20 minutes ago. I'm gonna back out of these. I'm now just curious how long credits could possibly be. But this is ridiculous. I'm just gonna go now. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the series. I will try not to play anything that is quite so horribly boring in between segments of story in the future, because holy crap, this game, I legitimately felt bad making some of these videos, and I'm very sorry. It won't well, I'd say it won't happen again, but then it will, and then I'll feel even worse, so I'll try to avoid it in the future. In the meantime, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next game. Good night. Oh hey, and something else fun of note. New Game Plus. It is literally the same game with your weapon upgrades. No other bonus. When you get to end game, the game will be exactly as difficult as it would otherwise be. Isn't that lovely?